After last week's abomination of a clip show on Dragon Ball Super episode 30, the show is back this week with some new stuff as we continue the Champa arc. Dragon Ball Super episode 31, Zuno-sama no motoe, Super Dragon Boru no Arika o Kikidase. Yeah, I pronounced it right. I hate when somebody puts a comment, you pronounced it wrong. Actually, I pronounced it right. Anyways, that translates to Lord Zuno. Ask about the location of the Super Dragon Balls. Now, before I go any further with my review of this episode, I do want to say that if you have not read Jaco the Galactic Patrolman, the collected volume that Toriyama put out back in 2013, the manga, I highly, highly, highly recommend you do that. Those of you who have been subscribed to my channel for a very long time, you already know that I've said this many times. If you're new to the channel or if you haven't seen those videos yet, check out my videos I've done on my channel entitled Who is Jaco? And I did one about Who is Tights. And they pretty much cover it, but I don't go into the entire story. So you get much more of a history of Jaco, Tights, and Omori, the old man, if you read Jaco the Galactic Patrolman, the manga. And like I said in the past, and if you're new, you wouldn't have heard this, or maybe you have, but it's not very expensive. I picked up a copy on eBay for about $13. I saw it some places for 11 or 10 bucks. Completely worth the money. Completely worth it. Check out Jaco the Galactic Patrolman. You'll get much more of a perspective on Jaco and his history with Bulma, because a lot of that was talked about here, not in explicit detail, but it was pretty much glossed over. And I know that some fans are going to be confused by this because they have never read Jaco. So it's just easier if you check out Jaco, Amazon, eBay, because this episode is pretty much all about Jaco and Bulma. This whole episode is the Jaco and Bulma adventures. We have cameos from Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta, and some new characters, but it's pretty much the Jaco story. That's what this is, and I was very pleased because anybody who saw Resurrection F or who's heard me talk about it, I love Jaco, and I know a lot of people saw Resurrection F, and that was their first time ever seeing Jaco, and they loved him too. So Jaco's a great character, and I'm glad that he's back. So essentially, the episode starts with Jaco on his way to Earth after Tights had contacted him a couple episodes ago. And on his way to Earth, he has this wacky adventure where he blows up this like crystal meteorite icy thing. Turns out that it's a galactic natural monument that he blew up. Of course, just wacky Jaco fun. He arrives on Earth and he tells Bulma about Lord Zuno, who's this being in the center of the universe that knows all. Bulma's idea was that she wanted to talk to Jaco to see if they can get to the center of the universe, because then the Super Dragon Radar might work better. But now with the revelation of Lord Zuno, Bulma feels that perhaps he knows more about the Super Dragon Balls and they need more information. Apparently this guy Zuno is one of the wisest beings in the entire universe, even more so than Whis, even more so than the Kais, which is kind of weird and doesn't really make much sense, because if the Kais are the gods of creation of the universe and Whis is the assistant to the god of destruction, you would think that they would have the supreme knowledge of all the ins and outs of Universe 7, but Zuno is implied to be older than even them. And it's not stated, but I guess maybe it's just my own headcanon, but it seems like he would be older than them, because why else would he have that kind of knowledge? It's almost like some knowledge was lost like throughout the years. Anyways, Bulma wants to ask Zuno about the Super Dragon Balls, and it's weird because, you know, they even mention the Kais, and there's an interesting line where Goku cannot sense Kaioshin, Supreme Kai's energy. So I wonder if this is an implication of what we saw in the Toyotaro Dragon Ball Super manga of Kaioshin defusing with Kibito. This was in the manga. Again, there's a lot of stuff here that's talked about that was in not only the Jaco manga, but the Toyotaro manga that hasn't really been expounded upon in the series yet. So I'm talking based on the knowledge that we've gotten from everything. But I mean, we'll see. Still, Goku says he can't sense it. So Bulma decides to go ahead and go with Jaco out there. Vegeta says, don't do anything weird to Bulma. Jaco says that Bulma's gotten older as they're flying out into space. She gets mad, and then she explains And he explains that they met when they were really little, which cues into the flashback that we saw last week, where a lot of us, including me at first, thought it was Bra/Bulma. But no, it's Kid Bulma. And we basically see Kid Bulma playing around with Jaco's ship. And this is, of course, flashback to the time period when Jaco first came to Earth, which was covered in the Jaco manga. So to get the full story, you do have to read that manga. As far as I know, there's no plans to make an anime version of this. So your best bet is just to pick up a copy or see if you can read it digitally. It's really up to you. But still, we see Omori's Island and we see Kid Bulma flying around. And basically, she learned how to fly the ship very quickly. So finally, Bulma and Jaco land on Zuno's planet in a very Star Wars-esque landing. And when you look at the planet or the lair, I don't even know what the hell it is from the outside. It's not even like a planet. It's basically a cardboard box with candy inside or something. It's the weirdest fucking thing. Like, again, Toriyama and Toei. I would think this is Toriyama's kind of concept art because it's total Toriyama. Thinking outside the box. This is why it irritates me when people say that Toriyama's like, lazy and this and that. I mean, he might be a little bit lazy. He's not the best writer, but you can never say he's not creative. It's just disrespectful and stupid to say that. So Jaco lands, and on the planet, Zuno's place looks like this old Chinese temple. And ironically enough, Zuno and his servants look like Buddha. They have the big ears and everything. So Zuno's servants appear, and they tell Bulma and Jaco that you need an appointment to see Zuno, and the next one's in 7 years. So it appears like Jaco and Bulma are screwed, and then this like red frog guy shows up, this red frog criminal guy. And we find out that his name is Geppuman, and Geppu translates to burp. And he's essentially a criminal that the Galactic Patrol's been looking for. And what's his crime? Well, he did the one thing that none of you should do, and that's dine and dash, a.k.a. buy food and then not pay for it. I love Dragon Ball. Oh, also, I should quickly mention that Jaco does say in this episode that the Galactic Patrol's jurisdiction area is only the Milky Way galaxy. So this is the first time we've actually seen the term Milky Way galaxy used in Dragon Ball, which is a very interesting thing because that tells me that they're not patrolling the entire galaxy. And I wonder if maybe that's why they were never able to apprehend Frieza. I have been wondering about this, other than the fact that Frieza is very powerful. I have wondered why they never actually went to war with Frieza. But Frieza knows who they are, so that could be it. But I always thought the Milky Way galaxy was where, well, maybe Planet Namek's not there. I don't know. They've totally changed the story now, so it's hard to pinpoint where these places actually are. I know some people actually believe that Namek is in the southern quadrant or in the eastern quadrant. I think the eastern quadrant. But again, it's difficult to tell now. But he shows up and he's basically a criminal. He's this like sought after wanted criminal. And he looks exactly like the frog from Frieza's army in the Resurrection F story, but he's red. And he's in there talking shit. He sees the Ginga Patrol, the Galactic Patrol logo, on Jaco's chest and freaks out, then puts a gun to one of Zuno's servants' heads. Jaco then springs into action, delivers this awesome elbow to the rib cage, kicks him in the neck, and then poses. It was so awesome. Essentially, he saved the life of Zuno's servants, and that, of course, granted he and Bulma the chance to speak to Zuno early, as in right now, and not have to wait 7 years. I just thought this was hilarious because it's such a coincidence. It's such a perfect coincidence that this criminal just happened to show up, happened to snap, and Jaco happened to be there to save the day. But again, that's the wackiness of Dragon Ball. I'm sure it was done on purpose for plot convenience, but that's kind of the point, that it's supposed to be wacky like that. So Jaco's going to apprehend this guy and take him back to the Galactic Patrol, and then Zuno appears inside of this floating ship like Frieza's. Jaco, of course, kisses him on the cheek as a sign of respect. Now, a lot of this I covered in my review for Chapter 7 of the Dragon Ball Super manga. I'm going to put a link down in the description of those two videos where I covered Chapter 7. I did a recap of the chapter and then actually reviewed the chapter. 2 videos that you can check out after this one to get a little bit more information about what was said and what happened. But I'll give you the rundown here quickly because this is just a review. I'm not going to recap the whole episode. Most of you are probably going to either see it when it gets subbed or have already seen it and are watching it now. But Anyways, what happens is Zuno says he can answer any question about the universe, but because Jaco's a guy, he gets to only ask one question, and Bulma gets to ask 3. And then Zuno mentions Bulma's tits. Her bust size used to be 87 centimeters, but she's been sagging because she's getting old and had a baby. Should be 2 babies, but hey. And now she's down to 83.4 centimeters, which is, of course, for those of you in the United States, we don't use the metric system, and they do. But still, I think that's bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that because if you saw the episode where Bulma summoned the dragon 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever, her titties ain't getting smaller, all right? Her titties is not getting smaller, okay? So Sumitomo's music was pretty good here, and then Bulma asked, tell us everything you know about the Super Dragon Balls, and then Zuno goes into the entire history of the Super Dragon Balls with no information at all about where to find them, just the history of the balls, who made them, and all that stuff. Basically, for those wondering, because there's been a lot of questions about this, there's only one set of Super Dragon Balls spread throughout both universes. So Universe 6 and Universe 7 both have a set. But what's weird is, what about the 7th ball? Because there's 7 of them. And is it 3 and 3 and then 1 in the middle, or is the one, where's that 7th one at? See, that's the big mystery that I think we're going to kind of delve into as the series moves on. So Bulma asks Zuno if she only gets 2 more questions for being this pretty, and that actually counts as a question. So what they're doing here, and I've said it before in my review for Chapter 7 manga, they're basically copying the joke from The Simpsons when Homer and Apu went to the original Quickie Mart, and Homer blew all 3 of his questions. Those of you who saw The Simpsons way back then, you remember this gag. I think it's hilarious that Dragon Ball's copying the gag, even though I don't know if it's actually a copy from The Simpsons. Nonetheless, it's pretty damn coincidental that they're doing the same gag with two very similar characters, 2 know-it-alls, for lack of a better term. So Zuno tells her that the Dragon Balls were formed by the dragon god Zarama, and like I said before, there's one set split amongst 2 universes, and I guess they were formed back in Age 41, which is weird because Age 41 seems to be, it was a long time ago, of course, but it's only about 700 or so years before this, and I just think that it's kind of weird because the Kais and Whis, again, I said it earlier, the Kais and Whis are implied to be much older than that, but it's weird. I just have a hard time grasping how Zuno knows more than they do, but hey, I'm going to let it go. Maybe we'll find out more about Zuno as the series progresses and why Whis. Maybe Whis is just too busy with Beerus. And maybe the Kais never bothered. But you would think that they would know about the Super Dragon Balls, right? Now, of course, in the manga, we also discovered, just from the manga, that the Namekians shaved off pieces of the Dragon Balls, the Super Dragon Balls, to create their Dragon Balls centuries ago. So, essentially, again, it's the same story being retold here. Bulma tries to give more answers, and then she gets carried away. Then Jaco and Bulma leave. So Jaco and Bulma leaves Zuno's place and head back to Earth. And there they meet up with Goku and Vegeta. And essentially what happens is, it's kind of funny because Bulma and Vegeta are drinking coffee at the Capsule Corp, and Vegeta's wearing his armor, so I guess he just wears that armor all the time now. It's not even like I wear it to train or I wear it to battle. He just wears it all the time when he's sleeping, when he's chilling. That's just what he wears. I guess the sweat and the smell of training all day doesn't bother him, but I'm sure it bothers Bulma. So Jaco has to leave because he has more missions to complete. And as he's leaving, Bulma gives him a platter of cheese and milk. Again, a reference to the original Jaco manga, where we find out that the only thing Jaco will eat on Earth is cheese, because it's the closest to the kind of food that he eats wherever the hell he's from. And then Goku, when Jaco leaves, Goku mentions that, Jaco told me all about how your titties are sagging and getting smaller. And Bulma screams at him. It's just funny that Dragon Ball's making jokes about women aging and getting saggy tits. I'm not saying that it's politically correct, but it's just wacky humor. And, it happens. We all get old. It's just, Bulma, for many fans, is a sex symbol for Dragon Ball. And now she's getting old. But again, if you saw her tig old bitties when they summoned the dragon, they're pretty damn big. I don't think they're freaking 34. If you convert the 83 centimeters to 34... I don't think so. So it's just, no, they're bigger. Or It depends on whoever's animating, I guess, will depend on how big they are, right? So anyways, Jaco leaves, the criminal's in the ropes, and that's where the episode ends. I don't think we've seen the last of Jaco. I think he'll be appearing in the future. I don't remember if he's in the manga version of the Universe 6-7 tournament, but I think he does make a cameo there. But we'll see. We'll see. Either way, I still think we'll see him again, hopefully soon. And next week, boy, did I have a hard-on for next week's episode preview. Everybody's there. Hit, Botamo, Frost, Kaba, they're all there. They're all there, and we see Monaca for the first time. So next week, we will officially be introduced in the anime to Champa's team. I cannot wait to see these guys in anime form. I'm so excited. I have a huge smile on my face. What did I think of this week's episode? I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good mix of comedy with a little bit of action. I thought it did a significant amount of world building. And again, I'm not counting the manga as part of it because they're technically two separate entities. So I got to give the anime its credit for being on its own, compared to Toyotaro's manga. And I thought the world building in the episode was good. Way better than last week's clip show. So definitely watch the episode, get and consume all this information. I may come back and do a video later about the history of the Super Dragon Balls and just kind of go into detail about them. Just gather up all the information and put it together and make it simple. I'm considering doing that sometime soon, next couple weeks, so maybe I'll drop that video or maybe not. We'll see. It depends on what I got going. I got a lot of videos coming, but subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. Did you like this episode? Also, leave a comment down below about your theory on Bulma's titties. I want to know if you think Bulma really is a 34C or D, 83.4 centimeters. No, I think she's got bigger boobs than that. But again, it depends on who the animator is. Let me know, guys, down below, and gals too. I mean, I actually want women to respond to this because they know more about this kind of stuff than guys do in general. Anyways, can't wait for next week. Thanks for watching the review. I will catch you down the road.